This video is brought to you by Card Kingdom, and while supplies last, if you mention Saffron Olive in your order notes, we'll hook you up with a free Saffron Olive sticker with any Card Kingdom order. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Thursday means it's Fishbowl Thursday here at Instant Deck Tech Land, and we have a pretty sweet deck to look at today. This is a deck that I think looks super fun and is super cheap. That is Gadwick Circle for Standard, and this one comes to us from Geocher. So thank you so much to Geocher for sending in a really sweet deck, and if you'd like your own deck considered for a future Fishbowl Thursday, leave me a link in the comments, or you can email me, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com. Anyway, let's talk Gadwick Circle for Standard. So I have to say, Verity Circle is a card that I have wanted to build a deck around ever since it was printed. Actually, I tried a bunch when it first came out, but I could never really get it to a point where it was competitive enough to use for a video or a stream. Basically, Verity Circle, 3-mana enchantment. Whenever one of our opponent's creatures becomes tapped, if it isn't attacking, we get to draw a card, then we pay 5 and tap a creature without flag. So mostly, Verity Circle sits out and draws us a bunch of cards if we can find ways to tap our opponent's creatures. So when Verity Circle first came out, it was hard to find good ways to tap our opponent's creatures. However, since then, we got the perfect combo piece at Throne of Eldraine, which is Gadwick the Wizened. Wizened? I don't know, but Gadwick. Gadwick comes into play, draws us cards, which can't hurt. We always like to draw more cards, and then whenever we cast a blue spell, we can tap a non-land permanent our opponent controls. That means if we can get down a Verity Circle and a Gadwick, we make this really sweet board state where all of our instants, essentially, or creatures with flash. So let's say Brazen Bar or Unsummoned, for example. They come with a kicker of tapping one of our opponent's things, and then tapping one of our opponent's things comes with a kicker of drawing us a card. So if we have Gadwick and Verity Circle, let's say we go Petty Thief mode of Brazen Borrower. We get to bounce one of our opponent's things, and we get to tap one of their creatures with Gadwick. When we tap that creature, we draw a card with Verity Circle, which in theory is going to draw us more Brazen Borrowers and more Unsummons to keep that loop going again and again and again and keep drawing cards. We also get a bunch of instant speed counters, which kind of work the same way. Sinister Sabotage. We counter a Planeswalker, whatever good threat our opponent has, and then we're able to tap a creature and draw a card with Verity Circle to keep the value going. Negate, Tails on same way. Aether Gust probably looks a little bit weird, but basically, as a mono blue deck, Shifting Ceratops really problematic for our deck. That is a big concern and can jank us out basically all by itself. So Aether Gust, little main deck shout out to our weakness to Shifting Ceratops. Otherwise, Optic Chemist's Insight draws even more cards. Instant speed. We can opt, we draw a card with Opt after scrying. We can tap something with our Gadwick, then we draw a card with Verity Circle, keep the value engine running. Chemist's Insight draws us a ton of cards, and it also taps down a bunch of stuff because we can even jumpstart it. So as you can see, that's the plan of the deck. Verity Circle, get down a Gadwick, cast a bunch of instants, counter spells, bounce spells, card draw spells. Then how do we actually win the game? The answer there is drawing cards as well. Eventually, as we Verity Circle, Gadwick, tap things, draw through our deck, we will find one of our 2 Jace Wielder of Mysteries. Jace, when we draw a card on an empty library, we win the game. So we just keep drawing cards, stick our Jace, draw even more cards, eventually draw our entire deck and win the game. I guess technically we could beat down with Brazen Borrower and Gadwick, but the most fun way to win is definitely Jace Wielder of Mysteries. Mana base wise, we get some sweet mono blue lands. Castle Vantress to scry, get extra lands out of the way, find our action. Mystic Sanctuary can get back our bounce spells, our card draw spells, our counter spells from our graveyard, and we can potentially draw them right away with the help of Gadwick and some of our cantrips and our Verity Circle, a bunch of islands. In the sideboard, I mentioned during our discussion in the main deck, one of the problems for this deck, the biggest problem, Shifting Ceratops. Sideboard gives us a bunch more answers. One is pretty straightforward. Aether Gust just puts a green permanent on top of the deck. We can't target Shifting Ceratops when it's on the battlefield, but we can stop it, at least temporarily, when it's on the stack. Our other plan is Commence the Endgame, which makes a big Amass Zombie, because our hand should always be full from all of our card draw. So we're going to make like a 8/8 or something when we cast Commence the Endgame. We can even do that at instant speed, so it works with Gadwick and Verity Circle, and that just eats a Shifting Ceratops because the zombie, remember, the army is black, so it allows us to block Shifting Ceratops. So that's our Shifting Ceratops plan. Otherwise, Cerulean Drake to help against red decks, basically just stonewalls them. Mystic Dispute, good for control. Ashiok, exiles the graveyard, which can be relevant against like Cat Oven style style decks, and that is Gadwick Circle, which also want to mention only $147 or 136 ticks, so not super expensive in the paper world, and not ridiculously expensive on Magic Arena either, where we have a lot of commons and uncommons, not too many mythics, just some brazen borrowers. So relatively inexpensive, super sweet deck. Thanks so much to GeoGer for sending it in. And once again, if you'd like your own deck considered for a future edition of Fishbowl Thursday, make sure to leave me a link in the comments or email me, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.